everybody. Hold on for a second, I'm getting my cup of coffee here. Apologize, I guess I got a bit of a cold here, or a stuffy nose. But you can see the title down there, and I know it's going to surprise a lot of people, but I'm willing to give, it says right here, giving Ian Flynn some credit. And what I mean by that is, to me, I know Ian Flynn has been, I guess you could say, a bit controversial at times among fans. And I know Ian Flynn has his detractors, as well as has his supporters. But everybody's always asked me to prove how much in the middle I am. Well, I've proven that I am in the middle. I've read off some supporting, some pro-Ian Flynn stuff. And it's true that I've read mostly a lot of anti-Ian Flynn stuff, but from what I have seen a lot of, that's basically a lot what you get at certain forums and sites and stuff. So, to prove I'm in the middle, I want to give Ian Flynn some credit where it's due. You see, I do give, first of all, Ian Flynn credit, as I've said before, for being the first among the fan base to live out his dream to write for the comic book. To write for the Sonic comic book, if not write for one of the top 3 major comic book companies in the world, that being Archie Comics. Now, I'll give him credit where it's due. Some of his stories have been intriguing and been engaging. I like the fact that, when he did 175, I remember reading 175, and when he had Snively zap all the main characters, I'm thinking, holy crap, did he just kill off the characters? Because we don't really know until the end, almost till the end of the book, that they haven't been killed. They've just been teleported into the egg grapes. So I'll give him credit for making us believe right off the bat, if you will, that the characters just got wiped out. So, and as far as that issue goes as well, or that saga goes as well, that 3-part deal, I give him credit where it's due by doing what no other writer has ever done. We've seen in Endgame, of course, written by Ken Penders, we've seen Knothole seen it get destroyed, but not entirely wiped off the map or anything, Basically more along the lines of, it was just wrecked, and all it had to do, and all it needed to be was for it to be rebuilt. So, to me, I give Ian Flynn credit for doing that. Hold on for a second. My dog wants out for a little bit, I guess. I don't know. Maybe she just does it for attention. Now she wants back in. No, maybe not. In here. Never mind. I guess she doesn't want in. I don't know. Dog's confused. Now she wants in. I'm sorry about this, folks. Yeah, see, now I gotta walk away just for her to get in. I'm sorry about this, folks, but getting back on track here. Like I was saying, giving Ian Flynn some credit, like I said before, I'll give him credit where it's due. With Knothole, he did something that Ken Penders didn't do. Ken Penders basically had Knothole completely wrecked, destroyed, but off-panel was able to be rebuilt, if you will. On-panel, off-panel was able to be rebuilt. But what Ian Flynn did, and I give him credit for this. I give him total credit for this. He basically did, what no other writer has done. He wiped Knothole off the map. And whether you like that or not, you got to give him credit for doing what no other writer had done. Now, as far as giving him credit there, I will give him credit for taking very calculated risk when it comes to the comics. I mean, when he did the Iron Dominion arc, I'll give him credit for that, whether we liked it or not. Whether fans liked it or not, I'll give him credit for the Iron Dominion arc. Because that was his first long arc. That was his first real major arc that lasted well over a year. I mean, sure, you could say, whoa, it only lasted about, 11, 12 issues. Yeah, but if you take those 11 to 12 issues and you add the 4 more of the subplot in Sonic Universe called Journey to the East, which obviously now is going to be available real soon in a graphic novel, if you take those, like I said, those 4 issues, and you combine them with the 4 issues of the main comic during that saga, and you're looking at well over a year's worth of story. I mean, basically a year in about 3 to 4 months. So basically about 15 to 16 months worth of story. And which is very ambitious. Very ambitious. And obviously that gave Ian Flynn the idea and the go-ahead to say, you know what? If I can do a story arc this long, maybe I can attempt to do one double the length. And whether we agree with his stipulation or his not stipulation, but whether we agree with that or not, that's very ambitious, and you got to credit him for that. Another thing that you have to give him credit for, if you will, speaking of Iron Dominion, is showing that Dr. Eggman Robotnik doesn't have to be the only villain or major villain Sonic has to face to save Mobius. Give him credit for establishing and bringing back a character like the Iron Queen, who was last seen in the mid to late 60-ish issues, if you will. The mid to late 60th issues, basically the first world tour, if you will. First world tour. Give him credit for bringing her back in a big, big major league way. And, that's another thing I got to give him credit for. He does bring back characters we have not seen in a while. I mean, look what he's doing with the main comic right now. He's bringing back a plant creature, which was first introduced in the very first issue of the Sonic comic book when it became a regular series, and I think made a comeback every now and then, but basically made its debut in the very first issue. He's bringing it back now as part of this subplot called Endangered Species. I mean, who would have thought that would happen? You bring something like that back, and you bring it back, which has made a comeback every now and then when it comes to the comic book. It's had its fair share of coming back and making appearances and being defeated and stuff like that. Who would have thought you'd see that character again, or that plant character again? Who would have thought that? Who would have thought? Not me. And again, the same goes with like the Iron Queen, Sir Connery, if you will, and a few others out there. I'm pretty sure there's a lot more to point out than that. Like say, the Arctic Freedom Fighters. There you go. They were brought back. And, to me, this is where you got to give, whether you like the guy or not, you got to give Ian Flynn credit for bringing back a lot of these characters. Because by bringing back a lot of these characters, it establishes them as being major parts of the franchise, of the Sonic comic book universe. And that, they're not just forgotten and they were just a one-time or two-time deal and that's it. You got to give them credit for that. Another thing you got to give him credit for, and as crazy as this may sound, is doing what he did with Fiona. Sure, I admit, it doesn't make any sense as to why he would turn Fiona Fox bad. Again though, a lot of people have the suspicions as to why he did it. A lot of people have the suspicions as to why he turned her bad. And you know what? Those are good suspicions. Storyline-wise, those are good suspicions. I mean, basically, you have Ian Flynn having Sonic admit in 178 and 179 you have him admit, you have him write Sonic to admit to Tails that he was only using Fiona, if you will, or not using her, but only gating her to make Tails try to forget about her. And obviously, if you're Fiona and you find out about this, it's like, what the hell? What the heck? But to me, I think it's more than just, the fact that, as some people said, it's kind of out of the blue, it doesn't make sense kind of deal, if you will. To me, I think it's more than just, okay, maybe she's upset for Sonic, using her to try to get Tails over her and all that. I think it's more than that. When I look at the time Fiona was portrayed as the Freedom Fighters, under Ken Penders, Carl Bullers, and even under Ian Flynn for a time, the one thing that stuck out to me through all that, and this is actually during the Penders run, is when they were on a mission, when Fiona went with Rotor, Bunny, Antoine, and Sonic, and they were on this mission. It was called the Triple Threat, if you will. And she grabs this gun and says, something like this will take care of a lot of business. And Rotor's like, no, we're not like that. We're not like that. We never have been like that. So I'm guessing it's not just what Sonic did. It's more along the lines of she couldn't really be herself as a freedom fighter. She couldn't really do things the way she felt needed to be done. That's why I believe one of the reasons, he wrote her to be the traitor. Again, I admit some of it didn't really make sense, but you've got to give him credit for taking that opportunity. Because when you do think about it, it does make her more anti-established, if you will. Makes her more, how do I say this, using a wrestling term, more like the CM Punk, if you will, the CM Punk of the Sonic girls, of the Sonic females in the comic book, if not the franchise. Makes her kind of like the Paige of WWE's NXT, kind of makes her the anti-diva, if you will. So again, you got to give him credit for whether it makes sense or not for doing that. You got to give him credit. It was a calculated risk. That was one of those calculated risks out there. But then, I'm checking my time here. But then you want to talk about huge calculated risk. Let's take a look at the end of Genesis. I mean, what he did, not the end of Genesis, but the end of 225 leading into Genesis. That was a shocker, whether you knew it was going to happen or not. That was a calculated risk. And then what happened afterwards with 230, which is, in the effects of that is still going on now, is a huge risk. Whether we like it or not, personally, I don't like seeing Salad roboticized and weaponized, I'll be honest. But to me, that was a huge risk, which you do, whether you like it or not. And like I say, personally, I don't. You got to give him credit for doing, because, whether we like it or we don't like it, he's essentially, done something that Ken Penders only did for just about half, if not less than half, of the main story in issue 29. Because issue 29 was 2 stories in one issue. So for half of that main story, he did what people thought Ken Penders did what people thought he wouldn't.